You're listening to Short Inspirations from Ralph. The Number One Thing, Part 2. In Episode 1, we talked about the greatest thing that anyone can do, and in my experience, the number one thing, the most important thing. And that is that you and I know Jesus personally. And we're not talking about gaining knowledge about Jesus. We can't Google Jesus and get more information and therefore claim to know him. So why do I say this? Well, Jesus himself said this. In Matthew 7:23, there's a very sobering scripture. And Jesus is talking about people on the day of judgment that will say, "Don't you remember me? Don't you remember us? We did this, we did that." But Jesus will have to say to them, "Go away from me, I've never knew you." And in the Passion Translation it says, "I've never been joined to you." And the word "knew you" also means I don't recognize you. I haven't seen you. But to get to know Jesus, get this, is incredibly simple. All you have to do is humble your heart, call upon the name of the Lord with a sincere heart, and you will be saved. That is straight scripture from Romans 10:13. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Because on that last day, there will be a lot of stuff that will be thrown at you from the enemy. They did this, he did this, she did that. But then Jesus will step in and say, "Hold on, this person I know. This person is covered by what I did on the cross." And that's amazingly good news. So, why not call upon the name of the Lord right now when you're hearing this? Just ask him to forgive you and to come into your heart. That's it. But I want to return to the story in Luke 10 about Jesus visiting at Mary and Martha's place, as we mentioned last episode. And Jesus said to Martha, who was fussing around and annoyed that Mary wasn't helping in the kitchen, he said, "But few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." And the expression here is, she has chosen to sit at my feet. That's very interesting. And that's because the term to sit at someone's feet was a technical expression in ancient times to indicate the relationship between a disciple and a rabbi. For example, Paul described his credentials and said that he'd sat at the feet of Gamaliel, who was a very wise and influential Pharisee. And so Mary had made one of the great decisions of her life. And as we said, Jesus wasn't favouring personality types or people not doing something over people who were busy and doing stuff. That wasn't the issue. But get this, to make someone your rabbi was a choice about being with them. A disciple was someone who had chosen to be with his or her rabbi as much as possible in order to learn everything he or she could from him. They went everywhere with their rabbi to see how he did things, how he responded to things, what he did in all the circumstances of life, even cooking meals and domestic duties and all sorts of things. They hung around their rabbi. They thirstily drank in his words. So what mattered was not so much that particular activity that they were doing, but what mattered was being with their rabbi whatever was going on. That's called sitting at the feet. For Mary, that one thing that he refers to was not that she would spend the rest of her life sitting in contemplation, letting Martha do all the work. The one thing was being with Jesus no matter what else was going on around her. It's to learn continually from Jesus how to be fully like him. So Martha is in the kitchen and she falls into one of the greatest traps of all time, really. You see, she has this desire to be with Jesus, but finds herself distracted. Maybe, who knows, out of fear or pride or envy or anger, but she's listening to some other voice besides this one. The word distracted that Jesus uses means to be physically pulled or dragged away from something. And my word, don't we live in an age of great distraction? And distraction itself fools us into thinking that what we're focusing on is much more important than this person of Jesus Christ. It's not necessarily distracted towards sin, but it does take us away from where we're meant to be. Keep listening. God bless you.